Well, I grew up right outside of Philadelphia in West Philly. Right outside of West Philadelphia in Yeadon, PA. I had a regular childhood. And the reason I got into any type of martial arts was when I was 15, we went to Atlantic City. My father said, the guys at the office said this guy Bruce Lee's pretty good. And I saw Bruce Lee enter the Dragon, and it was an infection. After that was it. I was infected. I would cut my mother's broom handles off and make nunchucks out of them. I would kick the walls, and I all on my own, because back then, you're talking 1973, there's no places around. There's nowhere to get any kind of training. I found a place in Darby, and then it just escalated from there. I met another instructor, Duso Park. It was Taekwondo, and I started training heavy with him. It was almost like the Karate Kid type thing. I would go there on Sundays. We go in the park and kick trees, and it would be constant training. And at one time, I quit my job and I trained 5 hours a day, 5 days a week with him, master instructor Taekwondo, and the levels just increased. I got into a blade system in the year 2000 because I wanted my son to get into a blade system, and he's been training since he could in diapers. Trainers in diapers.
And it wasn't so much that I hated it, I just kind of dreaded going on the days that I was actually going. Like, let's say we had a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu night, it was Tuesday, right? Like 6 o'clock, which like it was time to get ready to go. I just didn't want to go, you know? But that's because I was 12, you know, and I didn't want to go get my ass kicked by a 25-year-old. Because for some reason, I was a big kid growing up. I was a little taller than everyone else, so they always put me with the bigger ones, right? Even when I was boxing, they used to put me with the 240-pound people. 15, I was fighting, like, you know, average height people, but they were in their 20s. Yeah, they were pro boxers, basically, so I had to learn how to tie up real fast. I got really good at tying up.
It was a complicated blade system to learn, but when you learned it, you were untouchable. As I saw from cutting, there's switches and timers, so I can't cut deep enough to stop you, because I have to get pretty deep for a switch, which turns you off. The timers, you just bleed out and you wait for wooziness or death even, but you will die from a cut. But I can't have that. I need to stab right now and get to the timers. So this is where the kernel came from. All this came about is about people being scared of the blade, self-stab issues, or people taking it off them. So this gives them more confidence, and with a confidence level, it's huge. And we found out this is easy for people to learn. Why not just have a blade come out the front of my hand instead of the side? Because once I get this out, it's going to be stab, 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 straight forward. No frills. It's a grab and go blade, and that's it.
It eventually got to the point where he was like, we need a new blade. And so he and I started working on the design, right? And I was all about making it look good, making sure it looked nice, making sure it fit your hand really nice. And we used to have arguments over whether the grip was a ½ inch too wide at the bottom. But yeah, so it was, you know, probably like 4 or 5 years ago that we really got the finalized design, and we got a prototype. I actually sanded the thing out of wood just to make sure that it worked properly. And then once we had it, then it was a go. He had this book by Colonel Rex Applegate, and you know, he was showing me the cover of it, and he was like, this guy gets it, right? And so I started reading a little bit, and I started looking into the guy's philosophy, and I realized that it matched his perfectly. And once I realized that, I understood why he named it that. And honestly, it's the perfect name for it, because, I mean, Rex Applegate's philosophy is that of simplicity, doing that which is the most effective in the most limited amount of time, then the blade should honor that philosophy. It's honestly anybody who wants to use a knife, and I think it's accessible to anybody. And I think the reason for that is you really don't have to think about it. And I've discovered that just showing it to people. I mean, I've showed it to people who have had no experience in any combatives at all, and they all get it. It's really that tactile sensation, but once you pick it up, you know. It's like, I know what to do with this blade.
Everything's been thought for this blade, for the user, for straight on, with no experience, and just a mindset. Okay? Forget everything and just use what God gave you. You're going to keep the lowest form of skill that you've trained over and over because it has become part of you. So we go for the vital targets. Face and neck, ½ inch underneath. That's why the blade's short. They never wear anything on their face and neck. Like, body armor means nothing now, because my targeting is on the face and neck. So now it's all stabs. Every one. You can't get around it. It's at you all the time. And that's what I need, because I changed the targeting to the face and the neck.
I don't carry any other knives anymore, and I used to. And I really can't say I don't want to knock other people's blades. There's plenty of blades out there that are great. It's what works for me personally, right? And I like this blade because I don't have to think about a blade when I have it on. It's just nice. It's comforting. It's the idea that it's like I can pull it out, and I already know that it's in the right position in my hand, and I'm just gonna put some holes.